During my long and intimate acquaintance with Sherlock Holmes, I have never before heard him refer to his white privilege, and hardly to his toxic masculinity. Because of this reticence upon his part, I sometimes regard him as an isolated phenomenon, as deficient in sympathy for victimhood as he was preeminent in the science of woke culture. But one day, to my very great surprise, he began to talk to me about his white privilege. That's how The Adventure of the Greek Interpreter would have started had it been written by Tom Bidwell, who wrote the latest attempt at the great detective, The Irregulars. The Irregulars itself is a half-starved tribute to the mudlarks and street urchins that did, in fact, work as spies on the streets of Sherlock Holmes, the books themselves. First appearing in The Sign of Four, the Irregulars were often intrinsic to Sherlock's cases, and they helped him attain information on many an occasion, in films and TV as well. Incredibly important in establishing the softer side to the otherwise iron face of Holmes. Most of the actors have portrayed a sleuth have focused on a patriarchal slant to this relationship, including Jeremy Brett.
No Percy Doublé on those.
I might also mention how it destroys the legacy of the young literary head irregular Wiggins and his crew. Set in the late 1800s, the Irregulars focuses on a young group of street urchins led by the ethnically diverse Bee, the original Wiggins obviously being just too white.
How much?
Joining her in the efforts to delve more into the private lives of Sherlock Holmes and Dr. Watson are her many other diverse group of friends, including a boy of Latino descent called Billy. Now, it might be worth noting at this point that Billy was actually a very middle-class white page boy in the original stories.
Find Billy, please.
They find themselves thrown into a series of dubious adventures by the Machiavellian Dr. James Watson, not John Watson. Thrown into a web of black magic and devilry, they are victimized by white middle-class society, and the inclusion of a young son of Queen Victoria in this gang is mainly to pique our interest in the escapades. It also proves how the plotline is willing to look at both sides of the culture war today. Its eternal charm is in the fact that it's set in a different era entirely. It is not a platform for superimposing those of a contemporary period, and the whole series is built on the anticipation of finding out what an organization called the Golden Dawn are brewing.
Well, if the matter is beyond humanity, it is certainly beyond me.
This is all a badly drawn version of a more popular Netflix attempt at nostalgia known as Stranger Things. Now, even that series had a limited lifespan, it can be argued.
I humbly defer such considerations to your excellent literary judgment.
In the pursuit of the Golden Dawn, we use the powers of spiritual communion. Bee's sister Jess apparently has these powers for no specific reason whatsoever.
What is the meaning of it, Watson?
Although these powers, through these powers, she is in contact with yet another unnecessarily ethnically diverse spirit. And this spirit seems to originate from Tennessee for some reason, and the whole thing seems ill-conceived and badly executed. Mycroft is shown to instigate crime through his organization, the Golden Dawn. Now this is very interesting again, as Mycroft was one of the main heroes in the original, someone we were supposed to aspire to back in the day. The character has now been used to underline the supposed white privilege of modern times, as the Irregulars visit the Holmes estate. Now this is a circumstance which would no way have happened in canon. After this we begin to establish the surety that decades of characterization of Holmes have gone off the rails.
Yes, well, if you believe this to be supernatural, you'll find more help from a priest.
This is taken out of context, leading us to Jack the Ripper imagery. This is shown by face stealers, very much like those seen in recent fiction such as Game of Thrones. Leopold is at first glance a perversion of an actual historical figure, the figure of Prince Albert Victor, Duke of Clarence and Avondale. Now this figure was meant to have been the Queen's grandson. We have to make sure that Generation Z never actually has a solid grounding in historical fact.
I do see your problem.
Though it is obvious that yet another literary figure is being deconstructed by using the name Alice. For this I'm really referring to the name Alice Liddell, a reflection of Alice in Wonderland. She is key to opening the otherworldly rift that figures so prominently in the rest of the plot. I mean, the Johnny Depp films were bad enough. We are very much aware that there is virtually no similarity to the heartwarming little brats in the original stories. A reminder of the self-reflective youth. According to Watson, when he first met Holmes, Sherlock was an unknown, a distortion of canon again, and an obscene one. Other media have done the same, but they had the good grace not to take the idea seriously, but to allow it to mature into sort of a tongue-in-cheek concept now.
The best way of acting a part successfully is to be it.
The typical psychic, Jess, is Bee's stepsister. Jess comes back through the power of love, having discovered the rift, hides near the newly built Circle Line of the Underground, near Aldgate.
Always carry a firearm east of Aldgate, Watson.
Twain justifies his decision to take control of the rift by stating that he can provide stability to an otherwise unstable world, being that of Dickens's London.
It's quite disgusting, Holmes.
Yes, it is.
That Mrs. Hudson is a worn-out barmaid and lady of the night. Sherlock's long-lost love and mother of his children has come from a form of purgatory in the rift.
I have never loved.
It is a common trope that we're all so bored and tired of. Although we are spouted it here, we are preached to how the dispossessed white privilege can ultimately be. B gives an implored speech about individualism and intersectionality. Yet we are asked to feel sympathy for an anachronistic history.
I never make exceptions. An exception disproves the rule. I'm going out. I'll see you in an hour.
It needs to be spoon-fed emotional moments rather than let them play out in an understated way. The insult is furthered throughout the storyline with zombies from the rift, standing in for white privileged society in the underclass, fighting their oppressors.
Nice. Amiable people.
The very fact that the show has now been cancelled after only one season says it all.
I hadn't noticed.
When we are forced to consider that Sherlock Holmes would countenance this kind of diverse inclusion of otherworldly paranormal. The children involved were poor actors, to be quite frank. Pearson as Watson was an appalling choice. We remember that Watson was in the 5th Northumberland Fusiliers, and we are asked whether this failed as a poignant end to the story.
Yes.
Shakanaka.